Moderna, yep, the same one responsible for the novel modified RNA COVID-19 injections, has been lobbying top officials at the Public Health Agency of Canada to shape the nation's pandemic preparedness strategy, in yet another example of Big Pharma's cozy relationship with government bureaucrats. Let's dig in. According to a monthly communication report, Moderna's recent lobbying efforts took place on February 27th this year, involving Andrea Gilpin, Chief of Staff at PHAC. Details were only posted publicly on March 14th, nearly 2 weeks later, highlighting the often opaque nature of these behind-the-scenes dealings. The subject matter was coined economic development and health, specifically how the government's pandemic preparedness strategy intersects with Moderna's future operations in Canada. One can't help but wonder, is this really about public health readiness, or is it thinly veiled to push secure, lucrative contracts and favorable regulations for a company that's already profited handsomely from the COVID-19 era? Stefan Rose, Moderna's responsible officer and the most senior paid executive filing the report, certified the disclosure. Notably, the lobbyist registration regulations conveniently shield the identities of any in-house lobbyists who may have actually participated, leaving Canadians once again in the dark about who exactly is whispering in the ears of our public servants. This interaction raises serious red flags about how corporate interests, specifically those in pharmaceutical industry, shape public health policy at the expense of transparency and taxpayer accountability. This lack of full disclosure is par for the course in a system that seems designed to protect powerful corporations rather than protect public interest. As part of Moderna's associated registration, they began lobbying this government in July of 2021. The first lobbying disclosure was overseen by Daryl Patterson. He's Director General of Innovation, Science and Economic Development, Canada, ISED for short. And they were lobbying for science and technology efforts, though communication wasn't posted until 3 months after it took place. The second lobbying disclosure pertained to procurement, a timeline that aligns with when Moderna was rolling out its rush-to-market novel modified RNA COVID-19 injections en masse. In 2023, Moderna significantly increased its lobbying efforts, as evidenced by a disclosure filed over a month after the original communication took place. Key government officials involved Andrea Adamchuk, Director General of PSPC Procurement Canada, Melissa Sutherland, Director General of the Public Health Agency of Canada, Molly Royds, Associate Assistant Deputy Minister of Public Services and Procurement Canada, Donald Shepard, Vice President, Public Health Agency of Canada, Ritu Banerjee, Assistant Deputy Minister, Director General's Office at Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, Joel Dennis, Director General at the Public Health Agency of Canada, Daryl Patterson, Director General at Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, Christopher Johnstone, Assistant Deputy Minister at Health Canada. Also, shockingly, at least twice, none other than former Minister of Health himself, Mark Holland, was lobbied by Moderna. These lobbying efforts appear to have been fruitful. See, by the end of 2023, Moderna had received $733,000 by Investment Quebec and $2.4 million by the Ministry of Economic Development and Jobs Creation and Trade. These numbers have ballooned ever since, with Moderna securing $18.6 million in funding from Investment Quebec by the end of 2024. Thanks to these boosts, Moderna has officially opened its new state-of-the-art Quebec facility that will produce Canadian-made mRNA vaccines. Industry Minister Melanie Joly joined Moderna's CEO in announcing the company's first doses of these injections.
Canada's ready. We're ready to produce here at home. We're ready to protect our people, and we're ready to lead on the global stage. And while some countries turn their backs to science, Canada will invest in and believe in science, because science saves lives.
She condemns other countries that turn their back on science, likely in reference to the United States, which halted funding to mRNA development and what I would call risky technology in August.
Over the past few weeks, BARDA reviewed 22 mRNA vaccine development investments and began canceling them.
You see, these mRNA injections, unlike traditional vaccines, are more akin to gene therapies that prompt cells to produce foreign protein without a reliable off switch, posing risks like organ persistence, genome integration, and transmission through things like breast milk and sperm. Long-term safety data on genotoxicity, carcinogenicity, and perinatal effects are lacking, as confirmed by the product monographs themselves. Issues like batch inconsistencies, impurities, and adverse events like myocarditis and autoimmune disorders highlight this product's instability. Regulators classified these products as vaccines, allowing them to bypass stringent gene therapy protocols like FDA-mandated 15-year follow-ups. Moderna's talks and lobbying efforts with various governmental agencies reveals deep economic motives, entrenching their influence within Canada's infrastructure and highlighting just how prevalent industry sway is in shaping public health policy, like, for instance, vaccination or else. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. You can check all of our reports on these novel shots and this mRNA technology at nomoreshots.ca, where we're calling on the government to revoke market authorization for these injections. Check out all of these reports and more, and consider supporting this kind of journalism if you're able to at nomoreshots.ca.